Here's I got a question. On your property taxes there, there's breakdown in different portions of your school taxes here. One's your general, and then they have one here as a, they call it as your, let me find it again here. Your, other local levies. What is that?
Probably let Dan explain, 'cause that's,
Their local levies are health and safety and operating capital, equity, levy, and transition levy. And the transition levy, operating capital, and equity are mixtures of state aid and levy, depending on where you fall out in property values. So they'll decide that there's so much per student that the district will get an operating capital. That's when they can only be spent on equipment and buildings and things like that, that have a useful life of at least 5 years, or textbooks, or technology. And so, say what we're scheduled to get, is per pupil, base per pupil, we're scheduled to get $7 million. The state will figure out how much of that is levy, how much of that is state aid. And usually the mixture is about 75% to 25%, but it changes all the time. So that's the portion that's not, it doesn't go to the voters, that the state just says, this is how much you're gonna levy for operating capital.
Yeah. Which is a big concern of mine. Yeah,
But
we don't get
the other
vote.
big factor that happened when the state introduced the local optional revenue legislation, which moved some of, up to $424 of levy authority from the voter approved to the local levy. And it was smart for districts to go for it because it brought some aid in. Before there was no aid in that levy. So look at it this way. Our voters have approved $1,351 per pupil in referendum authority, local referendum authority. $424 was moved from that $1,351 into local optional revenue. That allowed the district to access more state aid. So some of that $1,351 was all, we'll say it was all local dollars. We got to move some of that into state aid and have less levy. Unfortunately, in the tax statement, there's only two choices, or two things. It says voter approved, non-voter approved. They moved that 424 to non-voter approved, but those dollars were approved at one point in time. It was just a glitch in the reporting system.
The reason I have a problem with this is because what's been happening, if you look at those numbers, and I've talked to Susan McKenna, Joe, and Ward about this, we're big school people. But even so, if you look at the rate of that increase on the non-voter, they voted for this 3 years ago, it's went up 45%. Well, we have no say in that change of that money, to me, which is, I don't think is right. And that's getting to be really out of hand. Now, these pass, all three, 1, 2, 3 levies pass, and then you have your money that you don't get to vote on. I'm seeing a 33% increase in that taxes. How do you tell a couple or a single person with a fixed income they can handle something like that?
well, before that 33% increase, is that we are not receiving more money for that, it's just the way the state is allocating on that.
Between the voter approved and non-voter approved.
Bottom line, I'm paying 33% more money. That's all that matters to me. Approved or not approved. How do you tell a person in this district a 33% increase to a person who's on a fixed income?
And we wouldn't.
Well, that's what,
Everybody has
if you
to,
pass it through, that's what
right,
they want.
but everybody has to meet